nice and dry now. See, I told you won't notice that 10-minute break. Now what I do, just to sort of seal down what I've already put there, I'll just go with the initial marker again. I mean, it doesn't matter if we go outside. Just do some atmospheric background. Maybe I'll put some of that on there too. This is why I use cheap ink, because if you were to do this with the Copic markers, you probably need a full-time job to support that ink habit. And even though it's cheap ink, I mean, it still does the job. Like even like cheap markers, you can get the same effects. I'm just a sucker when it comes to buying art supplies. Try and remove some of those streaks. All right. Now, what colours are we going to use? I think we're going to go with red. The old cherry skittle. So it's quite simple. Red mask, a red jacket, a red tank, and I think we're going to go with like an ochre tone glove. See, as you can see, that all that background stuff is just sort of blended out, which is, it's like a Control-Alt-Z type situation. You know what, I'm going to keep it red, but I want to do the actual lighting setup with a different color. So essentially half will be red, and then probably going to do a bit of maybe a green tone, just to give it a little bit of atmosphere. Yeah, just focusing on those shaded areas. It's probably still a bit too bright, so I'll reintroduce. I mean, could probably get away with using like a red Pentel brush pen as well, and then maybe we'll use another darker tone of red. We'll see what looks good. Well, especially in these really dark areas. I'm still a bit hung up about this eye, but I'll be able to fix that with the Copic white. How do you guys pronounce Copic? Copic white. Also, if you don't have a large variety of marker colors, you can just follow the same steps as before and put those in. I mean, I'll probably still put additional marker over the top of it. Yeah, I like to use 100% coverage. I mean, in some rare cases, I'll leave the white areas for highlights, but if I want a full render, I'll go into it 100%. A lot of my reds are dried out, but I think I've still got some. That one's no good. This one might be okay. There we go. It's still a little bit wet from the brush pen or the aqua brush more, so you've got to be a little bit careful. Yeah, still not impressive. But we will get there. Actually, I think I want to complete the head. It's a bit dry. I don't take care of my brushes. Oh, what's that? A Neef number 3 finest sable. Now remember, this is cast in shadow, so again we don't want it to stand out too much. I'll probably go with another pass, or maybe a couple times back and forth with the marker just to blend it back. Probably a little bit too much there. Actually, I've had a sudden change of heart. I think we're gonna add some cooler tones. Red and maybe a little bit of green. A good way to darken colours is using their complementary colours. So in this case it's red and its complementary is green. I mean, this information is it's not privileged information. It's actually quite easy to find online. So what is it? Red and green and complementary, yellow and purple, and blue and orange. Yeah, so if you stay within those, you stay within that ballpark when you introduce these colours, it will still look pretty good, even though they are so different to one another. Alright, that looks not bad. Now we've got to make a decision on the colour of these lenses. Yeah, maybe we'll try orange. Also, this is another cool, well, it's not really a trick, more of a little tip. Just using the Copic white with an aqua brush, and you can really just sort of blend it out, like give it that sort of airbrushed look. It's a good correction tool. I was really unhappy with the ellipses in the eyes. So yeah, once that's dry, I'm probably going to reintroduce some more of that orange and maybe go back and forth a couple times with the same process. Just a little bit of lighting there. Maybe a bit down there too. We'll put a few scratches. Also, this step, you know, you can repeat this process, you know, a dozen times, and which with each glaze of white you put, and then you go over it again with the marker, you get some really cool effects. And again, that's just from trial and error. It's not something that came overnight. So yeah, basically I'll spread out a bit of diluted white, wait for that to dry, I'll hit it with the red, and then the next time I'll come in with a bit of diluted white again, but I won't exceed what I've already had down. I'll just sort of give it maybe a millimeter or two and just do the inside, and then again with the marker needle. You're just basically building those layers, and each time you're shrinking that hot spot. Okay. See, sometimes I get a little bit eager. I just want to see something completely rendered. So as you can see, just with those two strokes, it already looks like he's somewhere. You know, like he's within some kind of atmosphere. I mean, there's no right or wrong way, but what it does, it separates him from the background. And I know it's such a repetitive thing that I do, but you know, it sells the idea without having to go into too much detail. But in saying that, it's also a part of the process that's really easy to overcook. You know, because with each stroke it sort of looks better, but there's got to be a point where you've got to exercise some restraint. And also when you're lighting things without any reference, just, you know, you got to use your best judgment and just understand if the lighting's coming from, you know, way back there and hitting there, like, you know, this, well, sort of looks like a beak. You know that is exceeding his face. So this stuff comes with observation and practice, but you know, once you've drawn, you know, the same kind of thing, you know, at least half a dozen times, you'll just naturally get good at it. You'll just know. Like I don't even really. My brain is on idle most of the time when I'm drawing, because I've just done these characters so much. Okay, again, it doesn't look, you know, 100% lifelike, but it does give it, you know, a bit of personality and life. I'm still not happy with that ellipse there. Probably a bit too harsh. still feel that looks a little bit wrong. So I'll just try and redeem myself just by blending it. And I've tried a lot of white media, and I've never found a product as good as Copic White. It's I'm not sponsored, or I really I wish I was. If they could just pay for my, or just give me art supplies, I'd be pretty happy with that. But yeah, this stuff is incredible. There we go, that looks a bit better. That's it, now we just continue down, and I guess it almost looks like an elephant trunk to a certain extent. Anyway, you get the picture. And you can just keep on just building and building. Right, now that'll start looking a little bit better once I hit it with the orange again. I've got to do something about this creaky chair. I don't know if that's coming through on the mic or not. So yeah, basically I'm just accentuating a lot of the marks that were made earlier in the drawing. You know, these weren't, I guess, intentional textures. But see, as you can see, going over it again, you know, now we've created multiple tones. All right, now we can repeat this stage, you know, like I said, a dozen times. And you know what? We might just do that. And just make sure. Try find a clean finger actually. Yeah, ready to go. That wasn't completely dry. Alright, just want to put that a bit more of that white accent there. And I'll just blend that out with the grey. Alright, that starting to look a little bit better. And we'll say a shadow will cast his eye like that. Alright, nothing's final at the moment. Excuse me. Where's that lid? Nothing's finalized as yet. I think we've got a lot of contrasting to do. Well, that's a nice cherry red. And as we continue that sort of rim lighting, you know, you'll want to consider how much of his head is casting a shadow here, which means the rim lighting won't hit. So you just got to use your good judgment. And like I said before, Copic White is, it's one of those products that it's not a 100% commitment. You can go back on it, which is rather helpful. You know, I don't ever just, you know, come into a drawing and everything goes right. There's always something that goes wrong. That's way too light. Might start maybe implementing some browns. This looks really dark. Oh no, that's cool. That's cool. maybe the alternate colour, we're going to keep it on the warm side. As usual, it's dry. Dry and lifeless. Alright, what else we got here? Yeah, another dry one. No surprise there. Son of a gun. Alright. There's gotta be, I've gotta have something here that's, oh maybe I've got some refills. Alright, we're gonna go down the orange route because that's all we've got. That's it. I've got a refill for that one in case I need it, so now we can even throw a bit in there. Now, because I've used a bit of orange, that gives me artistic freedom to use a little bit of blue. And we're just going to use the blue to that merging area. You know what, I think that's just going to eventually just go green. Yeah, I mean, as you can see from my process, it's a lot of the time you're just battling, just trying to get something that looks semi-respectable. That's a nice colour. Let's see if there's enough in the tank. Yeah, that looks better. A little bit of a green hue to complement the red. I'll probably get away with adding in a couple more tones with maybe another colour Pentel brush pen. I think I might have one in teal. Well, that'll be good. I'll have a look. I don't know about you guys, but the sound of marker scratching, it's actually quite therapeutic to me. I guess I could totally understand if someone thought it was annoying. I could see that, but maybe it's because it's the sound of productivity. All right. Maybe I've got some. Oh, that's nice. There we go. Bit darker. Sometimes to unify the colours, you know, it's quite helpful to just put in a, you know, if you've introduced the colour here, let's say on the back, you know, maybe just put a bit of a splash up here, you know, because a lot of this lighting, you know, you could say it's coming from the environment around him. Of course, another dead marker. I've got like a marker graveyard. Where are the good ones at? Where are they at? As you can see, it's not the color choices are sometimes it's out of my hands. Sometimes it's just whatever I have loaded. So I'd say this is like the equivalent of an overlay if you were talking about digital art. I guess my process is actually quite similar to digital art. You know, start with big shapes and sort of refine and start introducing colour. And I haven't dabbled a whole lot with digital art, so let's see what I've got. Ah, there we go. That's the Motherlode turquoise. That's what we want. Perfect. And these will last you, 10 times longer than, any stinking Copic. You'll get more bang for your buck, as they say. Yep, I can definitely sense the paper is it's reaching its max. I think we're going to actually hopefully try and find a green marker that's got some life left in it, and we're going to do a final overlay with some green. So yeah, just working on that blend between the hot and cold colour. Usually they blend pretty well, but in this case, a little bit of a struggle going on. So yeah, the same rule applies. You've got a light shade against a really, really dark colour. And it's the same here. So you've got a light shade and a really dark colour. And that kind of sells the idea, well, what we're trying to achieve here. Also another thing, if you take note, we're using some pretty bright colours, and yet still the character looks like he's in a really dark environment. And I guess that's one way to really make your work stand out. You know, it's eye-catching, and you know, it's very, very appealing to the eye. These gloves might end up going brown actually. Right now we're on the hunt for a nice green. Oh, this might be it. Alright, we're getting a bit closer to Copic white time again, which makes me understandably happy. Just trying to be careful because I can hear the paper is it's on its last legs. See how natural that looks when you darken red with its complementary. And they do have to kind of be, you know, in a similar ballpark, you know, the value of it. And then you'll just get a nice seamless blend. think I need to come back in again with a bit of red. Just to get that bit of that harmony back. Those damn paper fluff balls. And yeah, as you can see, it's just a matter of a little bit of knowledge and I guess a whole lot of patience, and just trust that a lot of drawings, they've got this really ugly stage, and you just got to trust that if you keep going, you'll get through that ugly stage and things will start looking the way you want them to. Alright, now I've got a bit of an accumulation of markers. I'm still not convinced. Okay. Just the colour was a little bit too harsh for my liking, so trying to tone it down. It's too distracting. It's taking away from the character's face. So again, with that initial grey colour I had at the start, I'll just walk in right there and just screw you, green. That looks a bit better. Especially there on the glove, it looks really out of place. Maybe some Copic white time and try and make me feel a little bit better about how this thing's looking. always when you're doing highlights within shadowed areas, it's probably good to note that you don't want to make them stand out too much. So in this case, I'll probably just go over it with a bit of green, and that'll tone it back enough. That's way too bright. Sorry guys, I've gone a bit quiet. This is requiring a little bit extra concentration. This rendering process, you know, I can do this for hours to come, and getting it super tight, like in every detail. But you know, sometimes it's not always completely necessary to do that. Okay, I think the glove, yeah, that might be a good tone. Maybe that might be, no, that's good. I thought this grey might be a little bit too dark. I just want a little bit of that green hue poking out. Alright, a couple more little details and a bit of Copic white, and we're going to call this one a partial success. Another thing I've started implementing a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit, is the use of, I guess, coloured pencils. It just so happens I have one on hand. But only as a final, because once you lay the pencil down, you can't sort of tone it down by running marker over it because of, you know, the waxy texture it has. I've gotten lucky in the past where, you know, I've overdone it, which it's not unusual for me, and yeah, I just sort of erase it and try to lift it off the page a little bit, and yeah, in some cases, you know, I've gotten away with it, but like I said, it's only as an extreme final for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to put any in this. And again, where I'm putting these highlights, it just comes with a little bit of practice and a lot of observation. And by no means do I think this is 100% correct. You know, that little gap, you know, which is casting the shadow from the tube, but it's just about selling that idea. It looks believable enough. See, as I keep saying, this stage, it's super easy to get carried away. You don't want to take too much away from the focal point. So this stuff, I'll probably just try and keep it in more of a shadowy area. The old smudge tool, eh? I'm just trying to create some texture in the glove so it doesn't look like all the other textures. Okay, the gun's allowed to be a little bit extra shiny, as it's probably the second focal point. I really love doing that. I mean, it was partially accidental, but you know, something that's so heavily encased in shadow, and then you just pull out just a little random line, and it just looks right sometimes. Your mine, yours, everyone's eyes is just instantly attracted to white, so brighter things, and it's another good way to draw attention to what you want to be your focal point of your drawing. I mean, again, you got to use a little bit of discretion sometimes. You know, you don't want to make it completely obvious. Yeah, why not? Maybe I'll tone it back a little bit. Alright, we're getting close to the end. I might even sort of off camera just really maybe spend a little bit more time on this, maybe throw in a background. But you get the gist. Like I said, guys, you can leave me a comment in the comment section if there's a particular part of the process that you're really struggling with. You know, it doesn't have to be about like my process, like maybe any old process. And if I do know anything valuable about it, I'll gladly make a tutorial on it. Yeah, that looks a bit better. I'm not done yet. I'm not done. Yeah, maybe we'll just tone it back just a touch. Like I said, I can muck around with this thing for hours to come, but you kind of get the idea. Just a little bit more. Just that's too distracting for me. Alright guys, I appreciate your time and thanks for tuning in. And if you made it to the end, pat yourself on the back. Listening to me for 2 hours, that's no easy feat. Alright, like I said, if you want to know something, leave it in the comments and I'll eventually get around to it. Ciao.